Storytime για το πώς μας ακολούθησε εμένα και την κολλητή μου ένας άντρας μέρα μεσημέρι στο κέντρο της Αθήνας. Θα ανοίξουμε παρέα αυτό εδώ για τα χείλη, το οποίο το πήρα πρόσφατα και δεν έχω προλάβει καθόλου να το ανοίξω. Είναι lip balms για τα χείλη με 3 γεύσεις. Είναι με berry, το άλλο.
People go through trauma. I truly believe that it can manifest evil, and I'm talking in a paranormal sense. And the story that I'm about to tell you is a very good example of that. And it is terrifying because these girls literally saw demons all over the place. So Tasha grew up with her sister in a really difficult household. Their father had passed away when they were younger, and then they moved around a lot, and they were just constantly put in very toxic situations. Because of this, her sister had developed depression, severe depression at a very young age, and Tasha was just very unhappy. 2008 to 2014, they lived with a family member. In 2014, they finally moved back in with their mother. Apparently, they weren't with their mother for a little bit. She didn't explain why. And for a while, things were okay. They were reconnecting and rebuilding their relationship with their mother, but their mother also had a boyfriend, and he drank a lot. He also cheated on her a lot and brought a lot of negativity into the house. And so the mother started to get cold and distant, and then her sister started to slip deeper into depression. Now, their grandmother also lived with them, and she worked nights and slept during the day, and she was a very religious woman. Grandma would talk a lot about how she saw spirits and how she was seeing the spirits of loved ones that had passed away. Now, her grandmother wasn't scared of these spirits because they were her loved ones, until one day she felt a spirit that did not feel like family. One night, her grandmother is sleeping in her room when suddenly she wakes up and she hears the bedroom door just opened by itself. And when she looked up, she saw something sitting on her bed. And it wasn't her mom, it wasn't her dad, it wasn't a family member. So she gets scared and she starts to pray and she's rebuking whatever this thing is in the name of Jesus, when suddenly she starts to hear bang, 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 stomping all over the room. And then the door just opens and slams shut like something had bolted out of the room. Now, weeks turn into years when they are dealing with things constantly. They're dealing with cabinets opening and shutting by themselves, hearing whispers, seeing shadows all of the time, seeing entities all of the time, when things start to take an even more sinister turn. One night, Tasha's sister is laying in bed, she's asleep, and she wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears something in her closet. And she sits up a little bit, she looks into her closet, and there is a girl standing there. This girl has pale skin, long, dark, black hair, and black eyes, and she's just sitting in her closet staring at her. This scared Tasha's sister so badly that she was like, I'm never sleeping with the closet door open ever again. So she was like, I'm closing the door. So she closed the door. The next night, she falls asleep. She wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears creak. The closet door opened by itself. And inside the closet now standing is the same girl, staring into her soul this time. This scared her so badly, she was just laying there absolutely paralyzed. It was not sleep paralysis. She could not move just from pure fear. In fact, this scared her sister so badly that she actually passed out. So she literally passed out from fear. Now, for the next few weeks, their house started to pick up a little bit. They would hear these stomping sounds all over their house. Cabinets would open and close by themselves, knocking on the walls in threes, and then it got worse. Tasha, her mom, and her sister are in the living room one night watching TV when suddenly they hear a knocking noise coming from their grandmother's empty bedroom. So they go into the room to check it out. Nothing is in there. They go back, they sit down, they watch TV, they hear it again, that knocking sound. So they go check it out again. There's nothing in there. And at this point, they're like, we have no choice but to ignore this. Well, a few nights after this, Tasha's sister is laying in bed. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. She's passed out asleep. She wakes up in the middle of the night again because she thinks that she hears something. She looks in her closet. Nothing is in her closet, but then she realizes that something is right by her bed. That girl that she had been seeing with the pale skin and the long black hair is crouched down by her bed, staring at her, just looking up at her, crouching. And she's not smiling. She's not saying anything. She's just staring at her. She's absolutely frozen in fear. And the next day she is like, F this, I'm going to stay with a friend because I cannot take this anymore. And also her mom wanted her to stay with a friend too because it was scaring her mom too. Everybody in the house knew that these things were happening because they were hearing it, but her sister was the only one seeing this demon girl. Well, after this incident, they actually decided to change houses because they thought that maybe it was the house and they couldn't take it anymore, so they moved. Unfortunately, this did not help at all. When they moved, the whole entire family started to see the same spirit that her sister was seeing. Now, she didn't go into detail about this part of it, which I'm going to ask her to do, but I just know that her family started to see the same spirit. And then it gets even scarier. In 2017, they moved to Virginia to go stay with their aunt, who had also been through a lot of trauma herself. In fact, her aunt's trauma was so bad that she told me that if she were to tell me what happened to her aunt, that I wouldn't even believe that she was still alive. Well, one night, Tasha, her sister, her aunt, and her neighbor are all sitting around in the living room and they're just talking when Tasha's aunt brings up the fact that there's something attached to her. And everybody is like, what are you talking about? And she's like, there's something attached to me. I can prove it to you. Aunt says, as soon as I start talking about it, it will make itself known. So she starts talking about it and the lights start flickering. And suddenly this big dark shadow just forms around her aunt. And everybody is like, what the hell is going on right now? Now, her aunt actually starts mocking this thing, like legit laughing and mocking, saying things like, you can't control me anymore. I'm stronger than you. And she said that she literally saw her aunt's, whatever it was that was behind her aunt, just shrink down and fade away. Almost like it knew it couldn't control her anymore. Their neighbor had no idea about anything else that was going on with the family, but the neighbor is Muslim apparently, and she thinks that she may be an empath because she then looks at Tasha's sister and she says, you know, your aunt isn't the only one with something following her. And Tasha's sister is like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you have something very dark attached to you. Her aunt at this point actually nods in agreement, like she knew. And so her neighbor was like, can I please pray over you? And her sister was like, yes. So they pray over her. Now this unfortunately didn't work because her sister's mental health continued to decline. Now one night, Tasha's aunt and her boyfriend are sitting in the living room when they hear something in the kitchen. This next part freaks me out so bad. They look over in the kitchen and they see that girl with dark brown hair, the one that her sister had been seeing, crouched on top of the kitchen counter, staring at them, just crouching, staring at them. As soon as they see this, her little cousin walks into the room, looks over into the kitchen, sees the same thing, and just starts screaming. Now, stuff like this would happen for a couple of years. Again, doors slamming, her sister seeing this girl everywhere. Her sister was constantly asking this girl to leave her alone. She wouldn't. A couple of years go by, and Tasha ends up moving out. So she moves out in 2020, and she didn't talk to her family for a while, but they did reconnect in 2021. But as soon as she started talking to her family, things started to happen at her house. Doors started opening and slamming by themselves. She would hear those knocking in threes. Crosses would be turned upside down in her house. And one day, Tasha walks into her house and she looks at the walls and the ceiling, and there are handprints and footprints like somebody had been walking up the wall and up to the ceiling. She had no choice but to ignore this. There was nothing that she could really do about it. So later on that night, she goes to lay in bed and her boyfriend is in the shower, and there was a curtain that was like right next to her window, and she's laying in bed and she looks over and the curtain just moves as if somebody had like grabbed it and like moved it sideways to look at her, but there was no one there. She obviously freaks out because of this, and her boyfriend comes running out of the bathroom and is like, what is wrong with you? And while the curtain is still moved like that, they look out the window and there's like a swing set outside of the window, and there's just a swing back and forth, just going back and forth by itself. No wind, nothing. Now, the scary thing about this story is that this stuff did not stop. So her sister still sees this girl to this day, not as often, but she does still see her and feel her, and her grandmother still hears spirits and sees spirits, and her mom is still going through stuff. So she didn't say whether she was, but the last thing that she said in the email was, I guess there's no ending to this story because it's still not over. What did you guys think about this story? I don't really have time to go into the commentary because I have to do the shout outs and we're at 8 minutes and 47 seconds, but I do definitely think that my opinion is that trauma can cause these things 100%, and I can say that from experience. So I'm so sorry that your family has been through all of this. I'm so sorry that you have been through all of this. I truly hope that you are okay. Thank you so much for choosing me to tell your story. And that's what I hope for you. I hope that you and your family are okay and that your sister gets better. Any thoughts, suggestions, or comments that you guys have, please drop them below. But please, as always, especially be respectful. It's Shell Bish. You're so cute. I hope I said that correctly. You left such a nice comment, and then you sent me a picture of your dog, and I love that so much. What a cute dog you have. So cute. You guys are both my spooky babies. Thank you so much for being a part of my community. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for supporting me and watching my videos. I truly appreciate you, and I hope that you know that, and I wish I had more time to say more, but I hope you know I love you, girl. JohnnyQ.public. You left the cutest comment ever. Thank you so much. It was underneath Jason's video. You said that I was your horror crush. That was so cute. I love that so much. When I saw that, I just smiled. And thank you for everything that you said. You are so sweet. I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you for being a part of my community. Thank you for being a spooky baby. Thank you so much just for being here and watching my videos and supporting me. It truly means so much to me. And I hope that you know, like, I really do appreciate you and I love you. And guys, I do have to mention something. One of my friends is going through something really difficult. I met her on TikTok and she is a really good person. I've known her for like a year, and her ex is doing some really awful things. He actually cut her water lines and she hasn't been able to afford water for almost a year now. I am going to tag her in the description so that you get her video that she talks about this is pinned at the top of her page, and she has a GoFundMe. So if you guys want to go participate in the GoFundMe, or if you don't have the money for that or you just don't want to, that's fine too, but just go to her page and maybe support her. That would be awesome. She's just trying to gather up enough money where she can turn her water back on. That's it. So that's really sad that that came to this and that this has happened to her. But like I said, her name is Shell and I will tag her in the description. But other than that, my name is Kaisa and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you're into that, hit that follow button, and I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories and recommendations. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. And to all my spooky babies, spooky kisses and haunted hugs.
Let's read some more scary Reddit stories. When I was a kid, my room didn't have curtains or blinds. One night I was trying to sleep and it looked like a man was outside of my window. I screamed and ran and told my parents, but they didn't believe me and said it was just a nightmare. I tried to go to sleep and I brought our dog in my room for protection, but the dog wouldn't stop barking, so my dad took the dog out. Then I saw the gleaming, creepy eyes watching me. An upside-down face grinned from outside my window. I screamed, but my parents still didn't believe me. I thought I was going to be unalived all night. The next morning, there was yelling and then the cops. Turns out there was a wanted man hiding out on our roof with a bunch of H all night. And when he tried to leave in the morning, our neighbors saw him climbing off of our roof and into his yard, so he beat the crap out of the guy before calling the police. My parents didn't apologize, and they never got me curtains even though I begged. Okay, parents, that's kind of crazy. Why wouldn't you get your kid curtains after that? That's insane. I worked at a campground on night shift, 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. every night. It wasn't bad. I would bring in my PS2 and game a good portion of the night, only having to deal with 1 or 2 people on busy nights. It was just me in this little 8x8 shack with nothing around but dark all night. My first week there, the other third shift guy who was quitting told me about this payphone a few feet from the shack where I worked. He said it rang every night at 4:17 a.m. just once. It was probably just an automated test call, he guessed. He's never answered it himself. I go for a few months with the job. It was the middle of summer, so most nights I had the windows closed so I couldn't hear the payphone go off. Mid-August, I started leaving the windows open during the night. Sure enough, at 4:17 a.m. every morning, the phone would ring once. The ring even sounded creepy, like the payphone was submerged in water. One night I got up the nerve to answer it. I set an alarm at 4:15 and would go wait at the payphone until it rang. When it did, I answered it, but there was no sound. Just dead air, like someone was on the other line but wasn't answering. I said hello a few times and hung up. I did this every night for a week with the same results. I didn't think anything of it and left it alone after that for about a month. The first week of October, I decided to answer the phone once again. I set my alarm, and when the time came, I answered the phone. Hello? Hello? Then I heard what sounded like someone inhaling through clenched teeth. The voice that sounded was rough and sounded like he had gargled gravel. He said my name, my complete name, first, middle, and last. It was a voice I had never heard. My voice caught in my throat and I hung up. I rattled some change into the payphone and hit star 69. The number had come from California. I lived in Indiana. Back when I was in junior high school, my mom had an attractive 21-year-old Polish woman living with us in exchange for house upkeep. One weekend night, the woman staying with us came in from hanging out with friends and went into the basement where her bedroom was. When she got to the bottom of the stairs and turned the light on, a man dressed in black started walking toward her. She screamed and ran up the stairs. The man walked up the stairs and out of the house through the door at the top of the stairs. I'll never forget my brother, only 13 years old at the time, coming into my room saying he heard a scream. I hadn't heard it and told him he was hearing things. I woke up a half hour later to the police searching our house. They got prints off of the doorknob but couldn't find a match until they caught a man who would later be called the Birmingham Grapist, a man convicted of graping several women in the area we lived in. My mom told the police she distinctly remembers having locked all of the doors before going to bed. Apparently, this man had stalked the woman staying with us and watched our family's daily behaviors. He'd entered our home early in the morning while we were in the yard and sat in the basement of our utility room until she got home. The thought of us going about our day while a man sat in our house waiting for the right time to grape the woman staying with us creeps me out till this day. When I was about 17, I was at my friend's apartment building, which his parents owned. We had an apartment to hang out in at the top floor and used to go to the roof to smoke. One night, we were about to go up, but I had to pee, so I told him I'd meet him up there. After I was done, I went up the stairs to the attic portion that was connected to the roof. There were no lights, so we used our phones to guide us. It was an old building and the attic was creepy and cluttered all the time. I was heading over to the door that led out to the roof when I saw a shadow-like figure pass by me. I followed the direction it went, thinking it was my friend. I kept saying that I knew it was him and to stop playing around. It passed me a few more times in different areas, moving in different directions. Then I heard my friend's voice from downstairs. He got a call from his girlfriend and was in another room talking to her the entire time. I have no idea what that shadow figure was, and I still refuse to go back up to the roof when it's dark after that night. My cats and I were sitting on my bed one day after college. The room got cold and I felt a weird presence. Both cats went to the end of the bed and were hissing at the doorway, their fur standing on end. About a minute later, it was over. The room went back to normal and my cats laid down to sleep. One of the cats lived to be 20 and never did anything like that before or after the event. The other cat I still have, and he's never done anything like that either. Anyway, a few days later, I found out someone I knew from college unalived himself that day, around that same time. That's really sad. But animals, they always know when something weird is going on.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. In light of November, fall, Thanksgiving, I have a Thanksgiving ghost story for you. Read your protection du'as, your protection surahs, anything that you do in your spiritual practice, do it right now. Let us begin. The Thanksgiving Ghost Kid, a true story. This is a story of my old roommate, and it still gives me the chills. It happened back in 2022, the week of Thanksgiving. Her daughter's boyfriend invited them to spend the holiday at his father's home in Connecticut. The house was small, so she and her daughters had to sleep in the basement. The only people living there were the boyfriend, his sister, and her husband, and their grandmother. A few more relatives were supposed to come, but they arrived late at night, so my roommate didn't meet any of them. The first night went fine. Then, Thanksgiving morning came. She's an early riser, so she was up around 7 a.m. The only person awake in the house was in the whole house. She went upstairs, sat at the kitchen counter, and drank her coffee, just enjoying the quiet, peace. As she's sipping, she sees a little boy come down the stairs, pajamas, sleepy. He walks over to the fridge, grabs a drink, goes right back upstairs. She smiled because he was adorable. Didn't think anything of it. Later that day, everyone was gathered in the kitchen and living room for Thanksgiving. Laughing, talking, getting food ready. That's when she casually asked, "Hey, where's the cute little boy I saw this morning?" The entire mood shifted. The grandmother immediately grabbed her arm and pulled her aside, whispering, "Don't say that. Not here. Not near my daughter." My roommate was confused until the grandmother continued. "Her son died in front of this house a few years ago, hit by a car. I see him sometimes too, but nobody believes me." Her heart dropped. The rest of the day felt wrong, heavy, eerie. Then, that night, something even stranger happened. Her daughter and the boyfriend went upstairs to grab yogurt from the fridge. She clearly remembered choosing a strawberry yogurt and putting back a banana yogurt she didn't want. They walked downstairs to the basement and froze. Sitting on their bed was the banana yogurt and the one she had put back. And at that point, they were done. They left the next day, still shaken. 2 days in that house, and they swore it felt like someone else was there too. Someone small, someone quiet, someone who never really left. If you want to hear more stories like this, follow for more. Have a wonderful day.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
This girl said that she lived in a haunted house that started off creepy, but ended up being terrifying, and she found out why before she moved out after she did some research. So in 2018, Shannon moved into a home with her husband, and her 4 children. She said the vibes were off from the moment she stepped into the home. She said that she always felt like somebody was watching her, but she wanted a house of her own so badly that she chose to ignore it. She said that she was especially afraid of her bedroom for some reason, and the first few nights that she was there, she actually had to spend them home alone because her husband was off working and her kids were off doing their own thing. So that night, she decides that she's going to sleep in her son's room because she doesn't feel comfortable sleeping in her room. So she goes to lay down. She's laying down in her son's room. She's trying to fall asleep when suddenly she hears footsteps. And the footsteps are walking up and down the hallway, just back and forth. Back and forth. Now, this started becoming a nightly occurrence, and they kind of got used to it, but then other things started to happen. One day, she's in her house, she's just chilling, and she had these pictures on her wall. There's a bunch of them, and they were mounted on the wall with Gorilla Tape. She said she started to hear this noise, and all of a sudden, she looked over, and all the pictures just come flying off of the wall. Flying, every single one of them. And then the lights just start flickering. And so she said that this stuff started to happen a lot, and they ignored it because they were chalking it up to it just being an old home. That's what they were telling themselves. Well, a few months go by, and she's now pregnant, and she's sleeping in her bed one night, and she wakes up in the middle of the night because she thinks that her husband is sitting down on her bed. So she sits up, she looks around, and no one is there. At this point, she's not scared. She kind of just brushes it off because she thinks maybe she was dreaming. Until one night, her and her teenage son are home alone, and he's playing games in his room, and she's in her room watching TV. Now, she always keeps her bedroom door shut at all times, so her bedroom door is shut at this point, and her son is playing the games, and she said that sometimes, like during the breaks of her son's game, he would come into the room and like mess around with her and joke around with her. So when the bedroom door started shaking vigorously, she thought that it was him. And this bedroom door was shaking for about 15 seconds, and then it just stops. But her son never comes in. Once again, she thinks nothing of it. She thinks maybe it's just her son, so she's just continuing to watch TV. She ignores it. Again, door starts shaking vigorously. Again, she ignores it because she again thinks it's her son. But later on that night, she goes over to her son and she's like, "What's up with you shaking the doorknob? Why were you doing that?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "You were shaking the doorknob." And he was like, "No, I wasn't." And her heart just dropped. She said this really scared her. She said from that day forward, she never kept her door shut ever again. And she said that to this day, her son says that it's not him. And he's grown now. Fast forward to 2020, and she has her baby, and activity starts to pick up, as it usually does. Sometimes, if you guys don't know that, sometimes if there's a newborn or you're renovating, stuff like that, activity can pick up in your home. Well, she started to see black shadows out of the corner of her eyes. And then one day she's looking at her baby monitor and she just sees this black shadow walk across the baby monitor. And she said that this started to happen frequently and this scared her. But the family started to get to a point where they would tell whatever this thing was, you need to knock it off. And they even gave it a name. They called it whatever this was, Glen Payne. And the reason why they did this is because they kept getting mail with the name Glen Payne on it. So it became like a running joke between them and their family. They didn't think anything of it. They just called it Glen Payne. Well, mid 2020 comes around and they bought their first home. So they were getting ready to move at this point. So her sister comes over and she's helping her move, and she comes over late. It's around 2 a.m. at this point. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit more intense. So they're packing dishes in her kitchen when suddenly Shannon gets the bright idea that she wants to burn sage. She just felt like the energy was off and that she felt like that's what she needed to do. And this was a terrible idea. So they take a little break after this and her sister goes across the house to go to the bathroom, and she goes into the laundry room to change the laundry. While changing clothes out of the dryer, she feels like somebody is behind her and she thinks that it's her sister. So she turns around, but no one's there. Now, while her sister is on the other side of the house, her sister said that she sees somebody walk into her daughter's room and she thinks that it's her daughter. So she goes into the daughter's room. Her daughter is fast asleep. Nobody is there. But she saw something walk into that room. Well, they blow it off again because this family is good at that. So they go back to packing. They're packing in the kitchen when suddenly they hear this boom, 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 boom. And they look up and every single one of the cabinet doors in the kitchen is just opening and slamming shut, opening and slamming shut. Just as fast as it started, it just stops. Now, her and her sister are terrified at this point. This did not feel good. Well, shortly after this, they move into their new home and nothing paranormal happens to them, right? They're Gucci. But then they decide that they want to look up Glen Payne just for the fun of it. They want to know who used to live in their house, right? So they look up Glen Payne, they find his Facebook, and they see a picture of him standing in her bedroom. And then they find out that Glen Payne is deceased. And where did he die? In their home. What do you guys think about that story? Do you think it was Glen Payne haunting the home? Because in my opinion, I think he may have been there doing like the benign haunting, but I don't think that it was him doing the scary stuff, like the shaking of the doorknob and the opening and closing of the cabinet doors. That seems like you're trying to scare the family, right? And I don't think that a normal person spirit, a normal person who had passed on would really do that. Why would you do that? Unless maybe they had done something to piss him off. I have no idea, but it didn't seem demonic or anything, but it definitely seemed kind of poltergeisty in a way. In some ways, not as severe as a poltergeist. I don't know. What do you guys think of this one? But tell me all your thoughts, opinions, and suggestions in the comments. She will be tagged, by the way. She did say that I could tag her. But as always, please be respectful. And with that being said, we're now going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. Okay, Vea, you left a few really nice comments. Thank you so much for doing that. That pushes out my videos and I appreciate that so much. And what you said was so nice. I truly love a girl's girl. And so I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being a part of my community. Thank you for being a spooky baby, because that's what you are. You're my spooky baby. And thank you so much for just being kind. I love having people like you here, and I hope you know how much I appreciate you truly from the bottom of my heart. And I just wanted to show my appreciation and tell you that I love you, girl. Maya H. Rose.Sniffy. You're so cute. You said that you watch my videos every time you get ready. I love that. I love hearing that. I love hearing that people do that, like while they're doing chores, while they're sleeping, like going to sleep, while they're doing their makeup, getting ready. That means so much to me. Thank you so much for watching my videos all the time. Thank you so much for being a part of my community. Thank you so much for being kind and telling me that and commenting and pushing my videos out. I hope you know how much you are truly appreciated here, and I love you, girl. You guys want to know what my lip combo is? It's actually a lip trio. I'm obsessed with it. Let me show you something. This is the one that I'm wearing right here. Absolutely obsessed with it. Literally stays on all day. I'm not even joking. You wouldn't think it does because it's like glossy, but it doesn't stay glossy all day, but it looks like this at the end of the day. So this is the other one right here, because you get all three of these in one pack. And then this is the other one right here. Sorry, my stupid ring light is the other one. And look at that. You get all three of these right now on flash sale. I can't tell you how much they are because I'll get in trouble. I know it's so stupid, but they are a good price. And hold on, let me show you something else. I mean, seriously, look at that in better lighting. It's so good. And watch it how this just glides on. You're gonna be, this is the lip liner. Are you joking me? Then you put on this lip balm, right? And this is like really nice. It's just nice and glossy. And watch this. Look at that. It's so freaking glossy and nice. Like, I'm absolutely obsessed. I'm not doing a very good job of showing you guys it at all. But like on your lips, it looks so good. I just realized I have a filter on, and that's just not how I do, you guys. So this is what it looks like without the filter. Still so stunning. I have no idea why my face is so red right now. This is also what the gloss looks like. Like, I literally put that on 15 minutes ago. So good. This is a different color, by the way. It's not this one. Anyways, I'm going to drop in the orange shopping cart right there for you guys. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you're into that, hit that follow button, and I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories. Have a safe night. And what's the 3rd one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much, my spooky babies. I will see you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.